Hello, and welcome to Goodnight Channel. I'm Jake.
And I'm PJ. And we've been trying to play 52 games in 52 weeks. This week's game is game 17 of 52, Super Hot. What did you think of Super Hot?
The most innovative shooter I've played
Ever.
All right, we're done here. Ship it. We're so good.
We're so funny.
And original.
Oh my god, I'm sure no one's done that in their reviews yet.
Said that exact line that we said wrong.
That we said wrong.
I wrote it down and I didn't write it here like I should have.
Whatever.
I put it on paper. I didn't put it on the document.
So here's a brief dev story. First of all, this week, and I guess starting this week, ending when we die, we're trying something a little new. We're going to be a little bit more focused in our discussion. No?
You know it's not going to happen, but we're going to try. We're going to try. It might not happen, but we're going to try to be a little more focused.
So we're gonna try to keep this a little bit more focused, maybe a little bit less of a 2-hour fucking undertaking that you have to listen through.
I mean, you don't. You can just stop. I don't blame you.
Okay. Talk to me about the developers.
Okay, so the game started as a 7-day game jam where they were making FPS games. And I guess there were 3 guys, and they all made their own level with the same like artwork and everything. And they threw it all together real quick, and they called it episodic because they were separate EXEs instead of just one final game, which I thought was really cool. And they were like, "This is a really cool idea." I don't remember if they won. I'm sorry, I didn't really care because I like this game a lot, so it doesn't matter. Like,
spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to listen. They already know you like it. That's all anyone cares about.
So, anyway, the thing that happened that I do remember is they made a demo in, I think, Unity that was in the browser. And they kind of used that as their advertising for their Kickstarter, I think. Which is really cool because, like, I would have had no interest in Superhot without that demo, I think. I would have saw it and went, yeah, whatever. But that demo was really fun, and I think I played it way too much. I remember sinking like hours into it and just playing around with the mechanics because I think they're really cool.
I never played the demo.
No, you should check it out. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun little demo. But yeah, they did a Kickstarter. They were successful. They also did Steam Greenlight, and they were really successful with that too. Yeah,
they're a successful group of people.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a really interesting concept, and I think they really took something and made it into something really interesting with the final game. So, the story of the game.
One at a time. We're going to go through the story, the entire story.
Point by point, all 35 levels.
All 10 levels. The basic story, the basic setup here is you boot up the game, and it's some, like...
It boots you into, like, a GNU... Like, GNU?
Yeah, you know, a GNU.
Public license.
Yeah, I can't even think of anything.
I meant a GUI.
Yeah, but it's like... It's like a faux kind of
retro
DOSy,
computer.
Yeah, it's like a retro neo future past computer.
It made me think of Linux and like the Raspberry Pi kind of stuff, where you're just using the very bare bones systems to navigate.
Or Pony Island.
Yeah. And so
one of many references.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it boots you into this thing, and I don't know. Does it open? Yeah, I think it opens with a chat log. Actually,
it does.
So it opens with a chat log. You're chatting to a friend, and he's like, "Yeah, I got the crack for the game, Superhot." And you click it. It's superhot.exe, and you can fuck around with a bunch of stuff in there. It's really nicely well themed, but yeah, that's the basic story. You cracked a game called Superhot.
You divvy your time between the two places of the game, the GUI and the gameplay itself.
Yes.
So, gameplay is really interesting. It's an FPS game.
That's first-person shooter.
In case you didn't know. And it's not. It constantly says in the advertising, I think, that time only moves when you do, but it actually moves really slowly, and which I think is fine. I think it works really well. It's like a bullet time shooter.
It's like you're always in bullet time.
Yeah.
Always in ultra bullet time.
Yeah.
It's funny. Before I started playing this game, I was thinking about how it must work, and there were two things that I had assumed. Otherwise, the game would just be trivial. So the first thing I had assumed was time isn't completely stopped. It moves really slow. That was true. The other thing that I assumed that also turned out to be true, if you move your head around, time accelerates not to like an insane degree, but it basically says your head can only move at X speed. It takes up X amount of time.
Yeah.
So, like if you move or if you like look around a lot, things will move a little bit faster.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Like if you try to look behind you, or
yeah,
I mean you're not using the keyboard to move physically, but just moving your head does accelerate time.
And then every weapon. Well, that's not true. Oh yeah, every weapon is a one-hit kill to you, including fists. Every weapon is a one-hit kill to the enemies, except for fists, which take 2 hits.
I think even some melee doesn't kill instantly.
Well, there's only one melee weapon.
But there's things you can throw.
You can throw stuff around, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it stuns people. Like you can pick up a vase and
there's a couple melee weapons because there's also the baseball bat and the.
Oh yeah, but that's a one-hit kill, and they're all essentially.
I feel like
I've
hit a couple enemies twice, but maybe it's just because I hit them twice and I didn't need to.
There's also a way to punch people and kill them.
Probably by hitting them in their heads.
Maybe that's what it was.
Because
I remember explode. I jumped off of something.
Yeah.
And I punched on the way down, and I killed them in one hit, and I was like, radical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what playing the game's like. You go through it. It is very much like if you've ever played Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
It feels a lot like it. Gameplay wise, where there will be moments where you just start and stop the same level over and over and over again, just because you fuck up. Like picking something up eats time really fast.
Yeah.
Or shooting sometimes eats time really fast. Throwing a weapon. So they're all decisions that you make, and it on paper, like if you haven't played it, which there's a demo, go play it. If you haven't played it, it sounds like it's boring. Like you can take your time and really think about it. It never feels that way.
Once the action starts moving and enemies are getting behind you and they're just surrounding you, bullets are flying, you really have to start thinking what's going on outside of your periphery, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
like you have to really account for.
But you got to do it fast. It feels like it. Like I said, it really never. There's so much going on at one time that even though time is moving really slow, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like you need to deal with everything in a timely manner.
This is not a game that is forgiving.
No.
You have to really you're going to play the levels a few times until you get it, until you figure out your method of completion,
which is fine. Like I finished the game and immediately I finished the game and I didn't know you could cut fucking bullets out of the air with your katana, which is the coolest. It's there's that like horrible nerd deep inside of me that's just like, yeah, I'm gonna cut bullets with my katana and spin it around. And so there's a katana only challenge. The game immediately opens up after you beat the game. Play a bunch of challenge modes, and they're really fun. Like I immediately wanted to spend more time with the game having beaten it.
I think it's like when you beat Portal and you get the challenge maps. And you're like, oh, I really want to play these because Portal's a lot of fun.
That's a really good comparison. Like the central mechanic, like Portal, making portals. The central mechanic is super strong, and fun, and just
something different from what we've been given for many years.
Yes, if I could quote, I think one of the greatest game designers of our generation, Todd Howard. It just works. It just works. Everything about Superhot, it just works. Like, it really does. Just like settlement building.
Just like
it
settlement
just
building.
works. That's sarcasm. I don't know if that's reading or not, but yeah, like you want to spend more time with it because it works.
And almost instantly. Like a lot of people are complaining about the length, and I think it has a pretty appropriate length for what you get. Like, especially with the challenge maps, and they have said, I guess, the developers, that there is more content coming.
which would be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean that will make the money worth it to buy this game. Like, there's going to be stuff coming. Like, I think that's really cool, and I kind of can't wait for more.
Yeah, honestly, and we were talking about this, not recording a little bit. I think that it's worth the price. I believe the price is $25 right now. I believe it's worth that price, even if you don't want to jump right into challenge maps. Even if you just... The game is really fun and interesting.
Well, I don't think you can get to the challenge maps without beating the game, though.
You have to beat the game. But I mean, like, if you just beat the game, I still think it's worth that price tag.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? 3 hours? Like, just the main...
It's 2 to 3, probably. Depending on, like, how many times you have to replay a level. And
I still think it's worth it. Like, I think it's worth it a lot more than...
Like, I didn't play the challenges. Like, I glanced at them, I did a couple, and I was like, yeah, I'll play this a little bit later. And I didn't get back to it because of another game, Stardew Valley. And I think it's worth every penny. I think it's a good game. The challenges is actually fair throughout, and it's not like Dark Souls hard.
Dark Souls
I'm just kidding. Calm down.
I'll kill you.
I know you will. I can't wait for that episode.
Oh, the one where PJ finally snaps.
You just hear gunshots.
Blah blah.
So yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna break our little fourth wall for a second.
Sure.
Your game discussion
Crap.
bullet note says influence from Matrix.
I just was putting ideas down.
Wait. Let me tell you how much playing this got me nostalgic.
Okay.
I used to rent from Blockbuster over and over. I rented it at least 3 or 4 times. Enter the Matrix for GameCube.
I think I played that for PS2.
Yeah, I'm sure you played it for an inferior console. Well, that's not fair. Every console's inferior to GameCube. It's got a handle. But I used to rent it all the time. I even have the... I stole the manual.
Why?
I don't know.
Maniac.
I just took it out and I used to like read. I don't know what was wrong with me.
I feel like there was a soda that's associated with the Matrix.
Yeah,
Is that
Mountain
true?
Dew.
No, but they had like a special one, like orange or something.
Orange.
No, they had a weird flavor. I remember it being really strange and getting it, and it's like that's the flavor of the Matrix.
What the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So in that game, obviously it's the fucking Matrix. There's bullet time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I used to. The game itself is bad. Okay,
Yes,
the game
very
itself is bad, but there are parts of it that just like really engaged me as a kid. Like something about flipping up and down walls in bullet time and shooting people in slow mo, and then running up to them and punching them in slow mo. Like it's really cathartic.
Yeah.
And obviously, like your bullet points, this game takes a little inspiration from The Matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what popularized bullet time.
Yeah. Well, the Matrix, Max Payne,
Yes.
which got it from the Matrix, clearly. Like, I played all those games with bullet time, including Enter the Matrix, and I think there's another Matrix game that came out
There
that I
is
played.
Path of Neo.
Yeah, I played
and there's
that.
also The Matrix Online,
Which I'd never played,
but I
thankfully.
really wanted to as a kid.
I
was like,
was
woo!
glad I dodged that bullet, I think. You see what I did there? Anyway.
Because they dodged bullets in that movie. I got it. Wow.
Anyway, like all those games, like they do the same thing with their Matrix, where it's the run and jump and like all that stuff, and it's like it never feels like the hallway scene where he just stands and dodges the bullets, which is what I kind of get from this game, and I kind of like that a lot. Like you feel like you're moving at supersonic speeds rather than you're slowing down time to move. Like
it feels like any of those scenes that you've ever seen in an action movie where the main character is way outclassing all these mooks, right? Mm-hmm. And just killing them left and right. That's what it feels like. You feel like you are doing that. Like that really intense choreography, like throwing things into people, catching their guns, shooting another guy next to them. Like it feels so right.
When you complete the level, it does everything you did in fast motion. So it does feel like that. The adrenaline of doing it very fast, even though you've done it slow the whole time.
I feel even when I'm doing it slow, I get that same sensation as if it were fast.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how this game works.
I don't know. I won't put it back, but I think we already kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
So,
what do you want to talk about?
The story, maybe a little bit. Just touch across what it's about.
We're not going to get too into the story,
no,
are we? Okay.
Not really.
We're not going to get too into the story.
But I do want to mention that I think it's pretty cool.
Play it.
I'm gonna, because it's gonna go into my next point.
Okay. We should forward this. I mean, we can't talk about the story without giving spoilers, but we're not going to spoil the whole game.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and talk about the ending.
To be fair, it doesn't actually really matter. Like, the game is really great without it's not relying on this, like, oh, you got to play it for the spoiler. Like, if this game had nothing but a set of levels, I'd be happy, which is what I assumed anyway.
Yeah. When I did a little bit of research after I played it, and as I saw that they were a dev team and they did those challenge game jams and stuff, I saw that they were just making the game with no story, because that's what they had. They had this really great, they had this really great gameplay, and I think they asked one of the other team members to write the story, and he just wrote it. Like, this is what he came up with, and they were like,
really cool.
Okay, like they just went with it. Like that's awesome. It didn't really sound like they cared. They're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. They're just like, okay, and they just went with it, and it's what it's become, which I'm fine with. I think it turned out really well.
Yeah,
and it feels much more organic than another game that came out previously in this last year.
Yeah, I if you still remember what Pony Island is, it has a very similar makeup.
Yeah.
It's if you played Pony Island, a really brief story is that it's a cursed arcade cabinet that Satan's possessed, and the entire game
works against itself.
Yeah,
in every step of the way.
The issue with it is that its gameplay doesn't match its
story.
Nothing. Its story
colludes.
Doesn't know if it's trying to be creepy or funny, and it just sits between both and is neither.
It has gameplay so boring, I wish I was dead.
Yes. Versus this game, which has kind of the same thing going on, sort of.
Vaguely.
This is a game made by a malevolent thing, kind of.
Yeah, like
a malevolent
government
entity.
thing, but they don't really get into it exactly, like, and that's what I like. Like, it's very vague. It's not on the nose, Satan. Yeah. Like, it's like, you don't know if it's a government or if it's a corporation. Like, it's very...
Well, and again...
We should probably talk about what the story is a little bit, but I was trying to get Pony Island out there.
Yeah. Again, Pony Island, the issue is, like, Satan. Like, okay, you're trying to be funny, but then every once in a while it's creepy, but it's not.
No.
Versus this game where when the story started to crop up, there's something so cold about it.
And sinister.
Yeah, that it felt... there's got to be a recording of me somewhere going... like, just being creeped out.
Yeah.
Because it was... I wasn't expecting it, but at the same time, it felt really in place.
Yeah. So, you are like... I don't know if you're a hacker in this game, but it feels that way just a little bit, but I don't think you are. You basically go on... You're chatting with your friends about the game Superhot, and everybody's talking about it, and you can know this from context because there's an app in your menu that goes into like a hacker chat room for like IRC, and a bunch of people are just talking about Superhot, but they're being real vague about it for some reason, and it's really cool to actually read that whole blog. It's very like they didn't need to put this in there, but it's cool to get like very like organic, I feel, conversations out of the people, like people coming in and just saying Superhot, 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 and there's all this chanting and garbage. I think it's really cool though. I don't mean to say garbage, but it's just like it felt like you would, like, if you found something like that, like on a torrent site, you'd be talking to people online and people would be excited and stuff. It's really cool.
I feel like any of the cringy things in it, there's one part at the very end that I'm not going to talk about that I feel is kind of cringy, but it has so much going for it that it's really easy to just forgive it.
It feels like a very modern game, too, due to the fact that they clearly understand that cracking is a real thing that exists.
Yeah.
Because their about screen is a NFO.
I saw that. It looked really good.
Text and everything from like a crack team, and I thought that was really nice. And it says like cracked by Superhot team or something.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool and special. There's like a lot of secret stuff. I didn't really unlock a lot of things, but I know there are lots of secrets probably.
There's probably a secret behind that fucking Tree Dude game.
Maybe, which we'll talk about that in a little bit.
It's my favorite part of the whole
I know,
game.
that's why I put it at the last point here, so don't worry. So anyway, you go through the game, and this person gives you the game, you play it. The gameplay itself is the shooting, and if you go into the chat logs, they talk about how there's a ripoff of the game, and it's called Superhot. And they go, oh yeah, the clone. And I think it's really cool because it kind of brings you into the game a little bit, like, oh, we're playing the clone or whatever.
Yeah.
What's really cool though is there's no, when you're playing the levels, I don't feel like there's a story in them until about a quarter of the way in, or a third.
See, I would disagree. Up until that point, or up until every level, really.
I guess there is, because it does pop up text that tells you to do things.
The aesthetic for aesthetic is white. Everything is white.
It's like a tricolor game,
right? It's white, red, and black.
Yeah,
but everything is white, and all the bad guys are red, and all the weapons are black. That's it. Like it's really easy to paint your own picture with it. Mm-hmm. So they start you off in these various environments, and it's really easy to build a story.
Yeah.
For that particular engagement, like, oh, I'm running away from a truck, and it gets hit by the guy. Like, it's very like I'm running from him, but the truck's trying to chase both of us because I'm so important. Whatever I'm doing, or like
that's the thing is that's what I like about these levels is it's hard to tell what your purpose is in them sometimes. Like are you a good, bad guy?
Yeah,
like you really get to put your own thoughts on it, and I really like that. Like
that's the lines start to get a little bit blurred. You like burst into a like a CEO meeting at one point.
Sometimes you feel like you're an assassin.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you're just being chased. Like
sometimes you feel like the good guy fighting a bunch of bad guys, and those more gray levels you notice all come at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, but like it's very, very cool how it said. Like there's one that always stands out to me. That's you're with the bartender, and the bartender pulls a gun out at you, but like it sets up the scene so well that you immediately understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. The bartender's pulling a gun because you've seen this scene a million times in movies and stuff. Like it just works.
Yeah,
I hate saying it, but
it feels like they took every action scene from movies and made them into little levels.
Yep.
Because like immediately the guards are running in, and you're running and gunning. You're trying to get away from them.
It feels great.
Yeah.
It's really hard to describe feel over a podcast, especially, but just it does.
Yep. I don't know if I really don't think I'm going to go much more into the story, honestly, because I feel like it'll be a real disservice to the game to not really get to experience it organically, and because not knowing what's going to happen, I think, is what benefits it.
Yeah, if you are kind of thinking about the game and you want to hear our opinion on the story, it's good, but it doesn't even need it. The fact that it is good and intriguing,
super bonus.
Yeah, super bonus.
Superhot.
Yeah.
So there's a bonus game in this game. I don't feel like there's anything really special there to hide because it's in the main menu. You just go click on it. It's called Tree Dude.
Yeah.
And it might be the best part of Superhot.
I played it the first time and I got like 100 or 80 or something like that. You just go up a tree.
Yeah.
But you have to keep doing it faster and faster. That's it. Like you just go up a tree. And
it's all in ashy art.
Yeah, it is, which it looks really cool, but the real issue is Jake told me that I had to get over 400 points to see something. So I just
made that up, though.
Did you really?
Well, I mean, I saw it in the game itself, but I didn't know if it was real.
Neither did I. We both didn't know if it was real, and I still don't know because I only got to 368 before I had a fucking heart attack.
What's great is all the footage for this episode is just you playing Tree Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much of it.
Tree Dude's good.
It's a good game.
Good game. Yeah, it's really addicting. I think it's really funny that this extra little... Tree Dude is the game I'm sorry that it's really hard not to talk about Pony Island when you talk about this game.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Pony Island tried to make this game that's like it's so addictive, but like it's not
at all.
It's just like an endless runner,
and it's not a fun one.
And it's not
nothing feels fast or real about it. Like Tree Dude feels like an actual game. More than all of Pony Island.
Tree Dude feels like a game designed by Satan.
Yeah.
Like, it's hell on earth.
Because as it gets faster, the music gets faster, and somehow something goes wrong, and the music starts to loop over itself.
It sounds like
Satan's
hell.
asshole itself.
Oh, yeah.
Just belching out the worst sounds I've ever heard.
It's beautiful. I sat there and listened to it for, I think it's an hour of me sitting there playing Tree Dude.
For way too long. Eventually, you just ripped your headphones off.
Yeah, and you could hear it. You could hear it from, like, across the fucking room. Like,
I was playing something else, and I was like, God, it's so horrible. You need to stop playing it. And I kept, like, pleading with you to stop, and you would refuse.
And my keyboard's really clacky, so all you could hear was...
back and forth. So good.
So, what are your closing thoughts on Superhot?
I don't really care about Superhot, but Tree Dude, on the other hand, 10 out of 10 game, worth every penny. Most innovative tree climbing game of the year. No, I think Superhot's one of the best games I've played this year. It's really changed my mind on Pony Island. Like, I thought Pony Island was kind of doing some kind of cool things, and then it's like, no, it's not. It's not doing anything really that interesting.
It has a couple cool things.
Until you start to like pull away the layers and think about it, like after like you've sat on it and you go, none of that game made sense, honestly. Like they just kind of crammed it all together. But this feels very organic, like a real game put together by real people, not a cash grab.
There's that Aussie part in Pony Island that I think is good.
I don't remember it.
It's the one where you're answering the questions and it tricks you.
Sure, that's kind of cool, but I think if it had a better, stronger game behind it, that would have been more meaningful.
Of course. I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying.
I didn't like Pony Island.
It's like Pony Island was a bunch of mishmash ideas thrown together. Like, why is a gladiator playing programming games?
Why
on a arcade cabinet with a keyboard and mouse?
The keyboard and mouse arcade
created by Satan himself.
Kills me.
Just, everything in Superhot is very sensible. Like they took the gameplay and someone thought, it'd be a really cool story around this. Boom, and they wrote a nice, interesting story to go around the gameplay. Like they didn't try to like make a gladiator understand programming puzzles because that would never make sense. Like, make your game take place with hackers and computers. Then those ideas make sense. Not that there are programming puzzles, but like I don't know. I think that they could have really done it better. Like.
It never bloats itself down. It always feels interesting. You always want to see what they're going to do next, both gameplay wise and story wise. You want to see what's going on. You want to see what's coming up. It's cool. It's great. Those are my closing thoughts as well. Superhot's fucking really, really, really good. I fucking love it.
Innovative shooter I've ever played.
Aren't you excited to know what that means?
Oh yeah. Finally, you'll understand if you play this game.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I think I
really like Superhot.
It's a great game.
Like you said, of the games that have been released this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
2016. That is.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Of the games we've played on this channel so far, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I really mean that. Like, I think it's one of the best games I've played in a long time, and
it's a game.
Probably the last time I felt like this way was with Portal, like doing something like really different and out of the box, out of like something I.
It is a lot like Portal.
Yeah,
when I think about it, it's got that sinister story kind of.
Because you can tell like Portal was like an idea of gameplay, and then they put a story on top of it.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's what it was.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, it was a concept that they fleshed out into something very real.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like maybe I'm a sucker for that concept then.
Well, the thing is, Portal, Superhot. I kept referring to character action games.
Oh yeah.
When I was talking about the price point with you, again while we weren't recording, I think the reason that those all feel the same, even though they're vastly different games, is because all of those games are about gameplay first.
Yeah,
they have a story in them, but it doesn't matter. It's about the gameplay. They feel like games. Mm-hmm. Superhot is a game. It can't be anything but a game, and it feels really good because of it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great game.
Yeah,
everyone should play it.
What's our outro?
I don't know. I just wrote that on there. Doesn't mean anything. Goodbye.
No, wait. Next week we're playing The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yep.
A game from Jake's childhood that I'll shit all over because I like Ocarina. Because I was a little kid when I played that and not A Link to the Past. Find out what I think about that.
Next week.
On
Goodnight channel.
Fuck off. What was I going to say? I had something else to say here.
Okay.
But I don't remember what it is. Oh, tell us what you thought of our new format.
Yeah, is it any better?
I mean, it's kind of the same, but I hope it was a little bit... It looks shorter looking at the recording.
3 minutes.
But yeah, talk to us.
Yeah, let us know what you think, because we really want to make this better. And it's whatever you guys want, really.
And if you have any games you want to add,
yeah,
yell them at me. And I'll replace them with Nier.
We just have to play Nier 6
Twice.
times.
Hey, just like the game.
Just like the game.
Just like the game.
So yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Good night.